All right, well, welcome back to Exhaust Sports Auto. My name is Kevin, and we are here to check out this 2017 Porsche Macan S. And who do we have to thank for this opportunity? It is none other than the premier auto dealership known as European Performance here in North Carolina, in the Raleigh area. So you can talk to Ryan if you're interested in purchasing this blue Macan with the brown espresso interior. This thing has about 35,000 miles on it. The reason why I'm checking this out is because, well, I think this might be one of the best used vehicles that you can possibly buy, so that's great. But enough talking, let's just get this little bad boy out on the road and see what it's like, because I have actually driven like 4 different Cayennes, even the new one. It was a 2019 Cayenne, and like I mentioned, all the European Performance information will be down in the description box below. And another reason why I come here is because they work on Porsches and they will sell you a warranty, and I would definitely suggest you buying a warranty with this thing. But that's kind of the beautiful part. This is like less than $40,000, and it's one of the cheapest ways you can get into like a practical Porsche product. But the thing I like about Porsches is they are a no compromise type of manufacturers, and I'm sure a lot of that's trickled down here as well. So for the price, I think you're getting a lot here. But let's first of all, let's talk about the looks. I actually think the looks on this thing is actually very clean, very attractive, and I like the more petite nature of this thing. It's about 185 inches long, so it's a size where most people can kind of get into and kind of whip it around pretty effortlessly. So let's just get this out there. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. So yeah, sorry I got distracted there. I like the looks of this thing, but you let me know in the comment section if you like the looks of this thing or not. The only like SUV I didn't like was like the first generation of the Cayenne. That was the only kind of like bad looking vehicle. Other than that, after like 2011, I like the Cayenne, and I like this as well. But let's move on to more pressing matters like this drive, because that is far more important with a vehicle like this. Powered by a 3-liter twin turbocharged V6 engine. This thing produces about 340 horsepower and about 339 pounds-feet of torque. This is the 2017 model. For 2019, they actually did rework this engine for 2019, so it now utilizes an engine that is shared with the Cayenne as well as the Panamera. So something to keep in mind. But for these used models, I still like this trim because, no, you can't get a V8 with these cars, but I think this is the perfect amount of power for straight driving. It does 0 to 60 in about 5.2 seconds, but also, you know, we can change this into the sport mode. Will auto upshift for you, but this thing is fitted with the wonderful PDK 7-speed transmission, that dual clutch. Dude, this thing reacts so freaking well. It is so quick to respond to your inputs, man. I love it. This one will actually auto upshift for you. I remember the perhaps I kind of need to put it into this manual mode here. Yeah, okay, when you put it in the manual mode, that's when it will not auto upshift for you, so that's good. But I'm not gonna lie, this vehicle does share a lot of components. It's on the MLB platform, so it shares a lot with the Audi Q5. Is this an Audi Q5? Honestly, this feels already a lot superior to that vehicle. But I have driven a 2020 Audi Q5, so you can check out that review as well as a myriad of Cayenne reviews I've done. This thing looks way better than the Q5. That's the main thing for me. I just hate the way the Q5 looks. But yeah, a lot of this stuff is shared with that vehicle, even like the all-wheel drive system, very similar to the Quattro system, the chassis, all that stuff. You know, a lot of similarities with that vehicle, steering rack. But the Q5, obviously, that's the Audi kind of, you know, Audis are the luxury division. They really focus more so on luxury, and that's great. And also, it's a very refined experience. This is the V6. You can get a 4-cylinder turbo with 1 turbo. I believe it's the same engine as the Q5 that I actually tested out. That was one of the smoothest 4-cylinders I've ever experienced. There's nothing wrong with that, but this is a Porsche product, focused more so on sports as well. Again, no compromises. It's still a great luxury car too, but you pay up for that. But I think in the used market, again, that's why I'm testing this vehicle out. I'm already feeling that this is a far more like solid, like better driving car. I'm about to test out more of the handling here in a bit, but I'm really impressed with this car, and I do think as a whole it is superior to the Q5. But I should have tested out an SQ5, though I have not done that yet. This effortlessly gets up to power. Again, like I mentioned, it's perfect for straight driving, but over these trash bumps, this thing is reacting to all my inputs extremely well. It is very comfortable, very quiet and composed. I appreciate that. So it's doing the dual luxury thing as well as the sport, so that's very good. And I am in the sport mode, and the dampers are also in sport. This thing is riding on 19-inch wheels, 235 wide tires up front, 255s in the rear. Don't know why they stagger it for an all-wheel drive SUV, but all right, whatever. I'm more interested in seeing how this thing is going to react to the corners, if it's going to do a lot better than the Cayenne, because I've historically said, like, the normal cars that Porsche makes, like the Cayenne, Panamera, things of that nature, they're the ones that impress me the most over the 911s and stuff, simply because, well, you know, the 911 is the sports car, of course, and let's see here. Yeah, that was great. There was hardly any body roll. Usually with these SUV things, there's like at least some body roll to report, but in this, not really. Effortlessly gets up to speed. There is no wind noise with this thing, nothing like that. And the handling, yeah, I would say this is definitely superior to the Cayenne for sure. This is way more nimble feeling. That shorter wheelbase is helping as well. And also, I really like the seating position. I'll talk more about this in the interior segment, but the way you sit in this vehicle, dude, you can have the seat all the way down, be like 8 foot tall and fit in this thing. There's a lot of room in here, and once you have the seat really down, like, you feel like you're sitting more so of a car. Like the Cayenne, you really feel like you're driving an SUV. This feels like you're driving a car, and this is legitimately like driving around in a sports sedan. So I love it, dude. Like, this is what impresses most. Like, I'm not taking anything away from the 911s, the Boxsters, and the Caymans. Those are amazing vehicles, but oh, nice little black LC500. That's nice. Anyway, I'm not taking anything away from those sports cars, but you just don't expect an SUV or like a sedan to handle this well. And that's where Porsche really excels at, making like these large, obtuse vehicles feel amazing to drive. Like, it doesn't get much better than this. I mean, this really is kind of like the pinnacle for like normal, you know, SUV, sedans, things of this nature, like the Panameras. This really does drive and handle a certain way that other manufacturers just can't really pull off, man. But it's all that blended with the comfort and the quietness, like I already mentioned. This is a very refined car. Yeah, this is now making a lot more sense than the Cayenne, simply because the price makes a lot of sense. And a V8 Cayenne costs a lot of money, and if you're going to be getting a V6 with the Cayenne anyway, you might as well go with this, honestly. Might even get a little bit better gas mileage too, because it's a smaller vehicle, but it still weighs quite a bit. You know, it's about 4,000 pounds for a vehicle like this, 3,900 if you get like the absolute base 4-cylinder, so a little over 4,000 pounds. It's no lightweight, but it's an SUV at the end of the day, but it feels so planted even at high speeds. This thing is, you have so much confidence. And you know, I love a lot of other cars too, but the reason why I like Porsche is because they're taking things like this and making it feel awesome. So that's what I love most, and giving it a level of capability that you never thought possible. Like, you can drive this thing like an asshole and totally get away with it. You're never going to feel like you're going to crash this thing or lose control of it. Never. It's so planted, and I love it. Brakes are another thing that I really like with this vehicle as well. But again, everything feels natural. You know, BMW likes to claim that they're the ultimate driving machine and all that stuff. But honestly, here's the thing, though. A lot of BMW, especially the M products, dude, they ride so freaking rough, and it is intolerable, basically. You know, over all these bumps, this is soaking it all up extremely well, and that's a really hard thing to do. A lot of that has to do with the excellent suspension geometry of this thing. You know, double wishbones up front, multi-link in the rear, high use of aluminum, even with this cheaper Macan, basically. It's not cheap, but like, you know, it's in the used market anyway, it's the cheapest Porsche that you can kind of get into. And they're still giving you a lot of high quality things like that double wishbone front suspension setup, which is great. And that's that no compromise that gives you both that excellent handling and that excellent ride quality as well. So all things to note there. And all-wheel drive, obviously, you can absolutely enjoy this thing out in the winter as well. No issues for sure. So wrapping up this drive, it's been fantastic. I love it. I really enjoy driving these Porsche products, especially like these SUVs and things of this nature. I know that sounds strange. I know like I should be like drooling all over the 911s and stuff, and I do. That's great, but this is a fantastic family vehicle that you can park on your driveway with the warranty and just be super happy with it. Now, let's go ahead, park this bad boy, and talk about the interior. Oh, and kind of forgot to mention that this vehicle, it does kind of crackle and pop a little bit. It's not super audible because this car is like a freaking bank vault, so you kind of have to have the windows down for you to hear the crackles and pops, but this vehicle will do it, especially in the sport mode, so there is that. Now that we are parked, let's go ahead, let's talk about this interior space. One of the things that I absolutely love with Porsche products is these things are bank vault solid. There are no creaks and rattles with this thing. This thing does have 35,000 miles. I know it's not super high mileage, but I'm just saying this thing, man, it just feels great. And I've driven a Cayenne. It was a 2014 hybrid S model, and dude, that thing with 100K miles, it was so rock solid. The interior, everything was like Lexus-like quality, so I loved it. This thing I feel like will be the same. I'm sure the previous owner took perfect care of this thing. This is a very special model, of course, blue with this espresso interior. So that's another thing. This is espresso interior. It's brown, so it kind of gives you some color in the interior. However, much like a black interior, it's going to age pretty well, so I appreciate that. And it has. These seats are, not only are they stupid comfortable, but they are also, they're aging really well too. So there's no real wrinkles with it or anything ridiculous like that. So that's really great. It's one of the things I love about Porsche seats, and it is very soft, very supportive. Love it. The steering wheel, you know, leather wrapped, obviously. These paddle shifters are excellent to use. Perfect paddles to be used with the perfect transmission. I'm glad it's not like that stupid paddle where you kind of like push in. Some of the Porsches have that, like the I think even some of the sports cars like the Boxers and stuff. I really hated that. This is fantastic. Nice big cold metal paddle shifters. That's great, and the steering feel obviously is great too. You got one touch up and down windows for all four windows. Great luxury touch there. All the buttons, the switch gears, they feel so tight, so solid, and they're nice and clicky. Love it. And it does not have double pane glass actually. However, even despite that, I mean, it's a pretty thick piece of glass, but even despite that, this car is so freaking quiet. At like 70 plus miles per hour, there's like hardly any wind noise at all. So that's really good. The doors feel nice and solid. You got memory seats here, of course. You got automatic headlights, and I like how the keyless access system, or like the keyless start anyway. It's you know, it's got the Le Mans style thing where you put the key in the left, but like here's the thing though, you don't have to actually put the key in there. You can just leave that in your pocket and just twist this thing. I thought that was really smart. I appreciate that. Gauges, typical nice simple gauge cluster that Porsche is known for, so that's very good. You got the nice big tachometer in the middle. It does rev out to almost 7,000 RPM, so that's pretty cool. This whole center stack here, this is, I like this generation of Porsche where they used all of these buttons, and this car does have almost like all the options in it. I'm surprised this vehicle is still on this lot, honestly. This thing has a lot of features, which I'll talk about, but this whole center console is so tight, it does not creak, rattle, nothing, man. So I love that. But other things I like is that the temperature controls, they're all separated from the screen. You have your own little temperature, the fan speed, all that good stuff. It is a lot of buttons. It is a lot to take in. You have to live with the car to really understand it, but once you get used to it, it's very simple because it's only the left side that you need to actually like worry about, because that's your driver's side. I mean, the passenger can worry about their side, so there's that. But you have heated and cooled seats. That's great. You got the sport controls, sport dampers. You can turn off the traction control. You got a traditional kind of gear lever knob. That's fantastic. And you put it into the manual mode, that's when it'll hold the gears for you. It won't auto upshift if you actually put it into the manual mode, so that's good to know. And like I mentioned, this thing is lightning quick, dude. Love the PDK. Freaking one of the fastest reacting transmissions ever. Perfect, man. Another huge reason why I like this Macan over the Cayenne, the infotainment. The infotainment in even a 2016 Cayenne is such an enigma to me. Maybe in 2017, the Cayenne maybe got the exact same infotainment as this. Comment below if that's true. But I like the 2019 one. That was great. I like that infotainment, and that's very similar to this. Very easy to access touchscreen, and it doesn't really get fingerprints. This is a very nice screen here. It's kind of like this matte finish. Not a lot of fingerprints on it, so it keeps it nice and clean. This is great. I hate the newer Porsches where it's just too big touch screens and it's like all piano black and very annoying. Really hate that. This is my most favorite Porsche interior. You got nice physical buttons and good touchscreen, so that's fantastic. Like I mentioned, all the buttons feel of quality and nice and clicky feel, so that's good. You got nice two big cup holders right here. The center armrest actually doesn't have a lot of space in it, but there is a USB and an aux connectivity there as well. A nice little Porsche clock. You know, what's a Porsche without the clock? You got a decent amount of space in the glove box, but everything feels really like heavy in here, like the glove box, like even the mirror, to move it, it requires some strength actually. That's pretty interesting. You got a nice big panoramic sunroof in here, so if you're into that, you got that here as well. And I'll end off on this. The Bose audio system does sound great in here, so it does have the optional Bose. Sounds great, love it. And the rear seats, okay, so this is kind of where you're compromising compared to the Cayenne. So this does not have nearly as much rear legroom space as the Cayenne. That should be obvious, but that's where you're sacrificing, basically. I actually think in a lot of ways this Macan is superior to a Cayenne, but the rear seats, it's okay. I'm 5'11". What I could do to give myself more space in the rear, I mean, I can still fit behind myself the way I am now, but if I move the steering wheel forward and then move my seat forward, it'll give me some more space. But yeah, if you're like 7 feet tall, I mean, you're probably not going to be sitting behind yourself, so there's that. But don't get me wrong, it's still a usable amount of space. The seats are still super comfortable, and I appreciate that. But I like that the trunk has not been compromised. The trunk is still massive, similar to a Cayenne, a little bit smaller, but still very good. You still have a spare tire back there as well, which is very rare, and I love that, and I appreciate that. So that's kind of my look at the 2017 Macan. Great freaking car, man. You will be surprised by this thing. I think the transmission was a big highlight for me. I love the PDK, and I like the smoothness, the quietness, the comfort of it, even with these 19-inch sport wheels, even in the sport mode. Everything is great. Handling is great. It gives you a lot of confidence. And for less than $40,000, get it with the warranty. One of the best family vehicles that you could ever ask for. And it ages like a Lexus in here. It's so solid, so bank vault solid in here. Really negatives to this vehicle, I don't really have a lot. Honestly, I said the same thing about the Cayenne. Porsche does not really compromise much. And a lot of people are like, oh, what about reliability? Again, that's why I say get a warranty. Parts do cost more. This is a Porsche after all, so get it with the warranty. Maintain it, treat it well, and it'll treat you well. So that's the moral of the story. If you're an owner of this vehicle, please do let me know how it's held up for you and how you come to like this vehicle. If you've compared to other vehicles like the Audi Q5, this is way superior to an Audi Q5, but I have not driven an SQ5, so there is that. Check out European Performance. All their info will be down below. Like I mentioned, they are pretty much like a Porsche dealer. They do service these vehicles. So buying it from Ryan here, I have the utmost confidence. I mean, hell, I would buy this thing if I needed it, to be honest with you, especially in this color combination. So all their info will be down below. Thank you again. Next video will be on the end screen here. Take care and goodbye.